As the 2024 election looms, a growing number of Republican poll watchers are preparing to descend upon key swing states. This surge in partisan observation has sparked concerns among election experts, who fear it could lead to voter intimidation and undermine public trust in the democratic process. These poll watchers, often recruited and trained by Republican-aligned groups, are expected to be particularly active in states with a history of close elections. Their stated goal is to ensure the integrity of the vote. However, critics worry their presence could have a chilling effect on voters, particularly those in marginalized communities. The increased scrutiny comes as Republicans continue to raise concerns about voter fraud, despite no evidence of widespread irregularities in previous elections. This rhetoric, experts say, has created a climate of suspicion and distrust, making it more likely that poll watchers will challenge voters or raise unfounded allegations of wrongdoing. North Carolina, a state with a long history of contentious elections, has emerged as a focal point for concerns about Republican poll watchers. Recent reports have revealed that some GOP-affiliated groups are urging their volunteers to engage in aggressive monitoring tactics. One such group, according to local media reports, distributed training materials instructing poll watchers to challenge voters they suspect of being ineligible. The materials also reportedly encouraged volunteers to document alleged irregularities and report them to authorities. These tactics have alarmed election officials, who worry they could lead to voter intimidation and disrupt the voting process. "We want to make sure that everyone who is eligible to vote can do so freely and without fear of harassment," said one county election director, who spoke on condition of anonymity due to the sensitivity of the issue. Adding to the concerns is the focus on non-citizen voting, a recurring theme in Republican messaging on election integrity. While instances of non-citizens voting are exceedingly rare, the issue has been seized upon by some GOP groups as a rallying cry to mobilize poll watchers. Training sessions for Republican poll watchers, according to reports, have included instructions on how to identify and challenge potential non-citizen voters. These sessions often rely on inaccurate information and stereotypes, raising fears that legitimate voters could be unfairly targeted. Voting rights advocates argue that the emphasis on non-citizen voting is a deliberate attempt to disenfranchise minority voters, who are more likely to be challenged at the polls. They point to past instances where such tactics have been used to suppress voter turnout in communities of color. The surge in Republican poll watchers has raised concerns that the GOP is laying the groundwork to challenge the results of the 2024 election, particularly if Vice President Kamala Harris emerges victorious. Critics argue that the focus on voter fraud and the deployment of partisan observers are part of a broader strategy to sow doubt in the electoral process. By creating an atmosphere of suspicion and distrust, experts say, Republicans could cast a shadow over the election results, regardless of the actual outcome. This, in turn, could undermine public confidence in the legitimacy of the election and fuel further polarization. The real danger here is not necessarily that these poll watchers will uncover widespread fraud, said one election law expert, who spoke on condition of anonymity. It's that their presence will create a perception of chaos and irregularity, which can then be exploited to challenge the results. Election experts warn that the increased presence of partisan poll watchers could have a chilling effect on voter turnout, particularly among marginalized communities already facing barriers to voting. The fear of being challenged or intimidated, they say, could discourage some voters from casting a ballot. When people don't feel safe or welcome at the polls, they're less likely to vote, said a voting rights advocate. This is especially true for communities of color who have historically faced voter suppression tactics. The potential impact on voter confidence is another major concern. If voters believe that the election is rigged or unfair, it could erode trust in democratic institutions and make it more difficult to govern effectively. Ensuring that the 2024 election is free, fair, and accessible to all eligible voters is crucial for the health of American democracy.